recall the meeting to order. We had a study session that started at 4:45 this afternoon. So for us, it's a reconvening. I want to welcome everyone on behalf of the governing board. Members of the public are attending both in person and remotely through YouTube Live this evening. And in a few minutes, I'll read the rules of order for public comment at a governing board meeting. Anyone who's listening remotely, if you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have already signed up using the Google form that's available under the YouTube Live description. If you don't see the link to the Google form, you can refresh your YouTube live stream and it should show up. If you're attending in person, this request to address the governing board is available on the table in the back of the room. You would want to fill one of those out as well. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and ask everyone to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I'm now going to read the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. The governing board welcomes public comment at its meetings by providing two different opportunities for the public to address the board. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comment time slot at the beginning of each meeting. Or if the topic is on the agenda, you may speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda topic. If you're joining remotely and wish to make public comment, you should have already submitted the Google form provided with the YouTube link. And for those attending in person, again, please hand a completed purple form, request to address the governing board, to our board secretary, Amy Sams. The information that is on the Google form and on this purple form is required for our meeting minutes. Speakers are called on when it's their turn to address the board. For those attending remotely, you may wish to enable your camera. And as a reminder to remote attendees who wish to speak, please unmute your microphone when you are called upon. Depending on the number of speakers at any given meeting, we'll allot either 2 to 3 minutes to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of your time limit. And in the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit total time so that we can conduct the business on the agenda. By law, the board cannot discuss, consider, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they're aware of the topics that will be discussed this evening. If you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district's website. We appreciate the community's attendance and comments at this meeting, and thank you for coming. All right. We're going to go ahead to item 3.4, which is our outstanding achievements. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Denise Bartlett.
Thank you. Besides all of our outstanding achievements in the audience, we have 3 pages of outstanding achievements for this governing board meeting. I won't read all of the names because there are many of them, but I will highlight their achievements. So Catalina Foothills School District proudly stands as Arizona's only K-12 district to receive all rated A schools by the Department of Education. Additionally, we're thrilled to announce that Sunrise Drive Elementary School achieved a perfect score of 100 in the total points earned for the spring of 23 testing. They are the only K-8 public school among Arizona's 1,368 K-8 schools to earn this distinction, underscoring the school's unwavering dedication to academic excellence and student growth. We will be holding a kiva tomorrow to honor the students and staff at Sunrise Drive for that wonderful accomplishment. Tonight, obviously, we have our National Merit finalists, and we're proud to announce that 7 of our seniors have been named National Merit semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. In an average year, less than 1% of U.S. high school students or seniors are named National Merit semifinalists. By comparison, an impressive 1.4 of CFHS seniors earned this distinction. So congratulations to our class of 2025 semifinalists, who we will recognize later in the meeting. These students now have the opportunity to compete for nearly 7,000 National Merit Scholarships worth a total of $26 million to be awarded in the spring of 2025. So to advance to the competition, our semifinalists must fulfill several additional requirements to achieve finalist standing, but we're incredibly proud of all of them and wish them continued success as they move forward in this competition. Our CFHS girls golf team was coached by Robert Rathbun, qualified and competed in the AIA Division II State Championship. It took place at the Agia Golf Club in Phoenix on Monday, October 28th and Tuesday, October 29th. The girls had a remarkable season, coming within just one stroke of an undefeated match record. They recently secured a victory over their top Southern Arizona rivals, Sal Point Catholic and Ironwood Ridge, in a thrilling match, and the team was led by junior Sophia Strobel, who shot an outstanding 4 over par 41. So they finished 7th place at the state championship, achieving a total score of 683 points. We want to congratulate them. And late-breaking news, which was not in our packet, but the boys golf team, additionally, they delivered an outstanding performance at the Division II State Golf Championship held at the Agia Golf Course, October 30th and 31st. Sophomore Zachary Schaefer earned the title of Division II Boys State Runner-Up with an impressive 8 under 136, while junior Chase Cesarek took 4th place with a 7 under 137. The team collectively secured the state runner-up title with a remarkable 8 under 568. So our longtime coach is Miss Julie Walters, and all of the names of the the golf teams will be in the border tomorrow. Our Catalina Foothills High School Choir hosted the Arizona Choral Educators Fall Festival in our music hall. And there were 25 choirs from 15 different schools from all over southern Arizona. The choirs were adjudicated by local choral experts, Dr. Marcella Molina, Jennifer Chapman, and Dr. Jeff Vanderlee. And out of the 25 participating choirs, our choirs received the top 3 scores of the whole festival, earning them the title of Superior with Distinction. The concert chorale received the highest overall rating, and the change of pace took the top score in literacy. Again, all of our choral choir student names will be in our border tomorrow. Congratulations to all of their singers and their hard work and excellent musicianship. Mr. Jeffrey Evans is the Director of Choirs for the Catalina Foothills High School. Another wonderful outstanding achievement is we're proud to announce that Abigail Henson, which she goes by Abby, a 6th grader from Esperero Canyon Middle School, has been selected as one of the 20 winners of the Arizona Treasure Kimberly Yee's annual AZ 529 essay writing contest. I'm sure you all know what the 529 account is. It's for college. Yeah. Abby's winning essay was chosen for, among 627 entries submitted by 5th and 6th grade students across Arizona's 15 counties. So Abby responded to the prompt, "What is your dream job and how do you plan on achieving that in the future?" She has very large, lofty goals. Her essay captivated judges with her vision of becoming a Supreme Court justice. Yes, dedicated to supporting environmental protection. Her thoughtful, original writing demonstrated a strong commitment to both justice and sustainability, underscoring the values of leadership and stewardship. And as one of the 20 winners, Abby receives a $529 towards an 529 education savings plan supporting her future pursuits. And finally, we have our Falcons Marching Band achieved remarkable success at the University of Arizona's Band Day competition on Saturday, November 2nd. They competed against 47 bands, and the marching band earned 1st place in their division, achieved the highest music performance score of the day, and secured the top individual marching score, distinguishing them as the highest scoring Tucson band at the event. Nice. Yes, and that was after they had played.
That was after Friday night, yeah.
This was after they had played Friday night at the football game. So then they had the day at the University of Arizona. This year's show was titled Play. It was recognized for its beloved musical pieces, dynamic artistry, and engaging themes. Renee Shane Boyd, Ian Marcuzio, and Tina Walton are the directors, and they were led by drum majors Brian Zhang, Shelby Gietti, and Dominic Bell, and Sarah Nielsen, who's here tonight. And the band's performance was honored in multiple categories, winning top captions in general effect, visual performance, and music. So again, wonderful achievements by many of our students. All of these names will be in our border tomorrow for the public and our staff to read about.
Seems like our border might be several pages long tomorrow.
I believe it will be, yes.
Thanks for that great report. One of our favorite parts of governing board meetings, outstanding achievements. And there's more where that came from. Item 3.5 is our Catalina Foothills Star Award. This Star Award is being presented this evening to the 2025 National Merit semifinalists and commended students. And our board member, Gina Maymert, is going to present to our students and families.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to see you here. We're very proud to honor 15 of our brightest Catfoot seniors tonight as we celebrate your success as National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars. You've had an incredible journey throughout your time with CFSD. And for many of you, I know this firsthand because some of you I've known since kindergarten, some of you since third grade, some of you since middle school. Some of you I've just met tonight, and one of you I've known since the day you were born, right? So tonight is very, very special indeed. For all of you, I know that you've been on an incredible journey, and I know that that journey is just going to continue and to bring to you so many experiences and challenges. In fact, you've each challenged yourselves already. You've taken the toughest classes. You've taken the fullest course loads. You've pursued your passions in theater and band and music and arts and sports, in leadership, in debate probably. I'm assuming if any of you are anything like our own household, you've focused on debate a lot. You've given your time and talent to service, both for our own schools as well as our broader community. And like I said, each of you will undoubtedly continue to excel, both for the remainder of this school year through graduation and beyond, wherever your journey takes you into the bigger world, whether that's to college, whether it's to the military, straight into the workforce, or maybe traveling. And wherever that is, it's going to be really exciting. Yeah, incredibly exciting. We're so excited for you, and I'm sure every parent and family member and loved one in this room feels that excitement for you as well. But with that said, as you've sought out all of these opportunities, and as you go on this journey, let's be really real. It gets hard, right? It's kind of tiring sometimes. And so it's really important that we pause along the way and we take every opportunity we can to celebrate and to celebrate your success and your hard work. And that's why we're here tonight, together, to celebrate your success. We're taking this tiny moment in time and this one achievement out of many achievements you've already had and many more achievements that I'm sure will come, to say, hey, you're doing great, and we're really, really proud of you. So this latest achievement, and I have full faith there will be many more, like I said, recognizes you as our National Merit Commended Scholars and semifinalists. The program's designed to promote a wider and deeper respect for learning and to shine a spotlight on our brilliant students. That's actually the National Merit Corporation's word, not mine. Brilliant students, like each of you, in encouraging the pursuit of academic excellence at all levels of education. So as National Merit awardees, you join an elite group. Out of 1.5 million participants, only the top 50,000, 3%, qualify as National Merit awardees. And of these, the top 16,000, 1% of all participants, receive the highest honor of National Merit semifinalists, with the remainder receiving the National Merit Commended Scholar Award. At this point, I would like to invite Dr. Chris Lambert to come on up. I know he has a few words to share, and then we will acknowledge each of you by name as well. So for those of you who are receiving awards, brace yourselves. I am eventually going to ask you to come up here, okay? So you now have a few minutes to prepare for that while Dr. Lambert speaks.
Good evening. My name is Chris Lambert. Again, thank you for being here tonight. I don't want to repeat everything Gina just said, but I do want to say on behalf of the faculty and staff at Catalina Foothills High School, our wonderful school, I want to express how proud I am of our students here tonight who are being recognized for their achievement in national merit. These students are not just great test takers, which they are, which is hard to do, by the way. These tests are not easy. But what makes me so impressed with them is that they're well-rounded students. And they're involved, as Gina said, in so many of our activities, clubs, athletics, theater. Two of our drum majors are here tonight. In the arts, again, athletics, clubs, activities. They're well-rounded students, and that's the goal. That's the goal of everything we're about as a school and a district, is that we produce well-rounded graduates who are prepared for life and the world. And even more important than that to me is that these are kind and respectful and wonderful human beings, young adults that we can all be proud of. And when we see them in the hallway, we see them taking care of each other, being respectful, looking out for those who need a little extra help. To me, that's one of the most important things I can tell you about our students tonight, is that these are people you'd like to talk to. These are people you'd trust your own kids with. And these awards, their achievement in their academics is just a reflection of their overall character and level of commitment to their life and to their studies. So congratulations.
Dr. Lambert, you don't get to sit down, Dr. Lambert. You have to come back over. I'm going to invite you to go over there, and Dr. Lambert will be handing out the certificates. So, as I call your name, I would like to invite you to come up here and join us. And I'm going to begin with our commended scholars, and then I'll move on to our semifinalists. Okay? Everybody clear on what we're doing? Fantastic. So, in alphabetical order by surname, I'm just saying that so that you know I don't have any bias in this. Our first commended scholar is Sebastian Cross. Ella Hennings. Stay on up here, Sebi. Stay on up here. Lillian Lee. Sienna Mayfield. Brandon Mokhtarian. Kiri Papas. Nina Raju. And Zach Young. Our National Merit semifinalists, like Dr. Lambert said, may continue the process to become National Merit finalists, and they are Joseph Drexler, Fox Foster, Sarah Christina Nielsen, Nilay Patel, Carson Ruiz, Talia Zoke, and Brian Chang. Please join me in giving our finalists and commended scholars one more round of applause. So students, we're going to ask you to squish together. Squish is a technical term. Probably make 2 rows, because I know Ms. Garber always likes to get a photograph. So probably create 2 rows. And parents, this is a great time for you to come up and take a photo if you'd like. Do you want them to know your order? Squish.
Get in that photo.
What's that?
Chris and Gina should get in that photo.
Yeah. Carol. I don't think I've ever seen Carol. I think it's
There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you, Gina. That was a great presentation. And congratulations to all of our awardees this evening. We're going to go ahead and finish the business on our agenda, and we'd love to have all of you stay. We also do understand that you came here for an award, and you may have other things on your agenda this evening that doesn't include a board meeting, so don't feel bad if you need to be somewhere else, but otherwise, we'd love to have you for the rest of our meeting. And I'll give you guys a few minutes for those who do need to leave to exit. Is that your? Yeah. I don't think I've ever met him. Or maybe I met him at your house that one day at a game. I don't remember.
Yeah, they have to go home and study.
They have to go home and study.
Yeah.
What a great group.
It's not quite in, yeah, not quite in coasting mode yet.
Nathaniel that tall? Nathaniel's taller. Really? He's a lot taller than David. Is it from your side of the family?
Okay. We have another really fun thing on the agenda tonight. It's just one fun thing after another. You know what? I should have not said the invitation until after the Deep Learning Showcase. That was my bad. We have item 3.6, which is our Deep Learning Showcase, which is a celebration of quality teaching. Tonight's subject is History Under Investigation. Our fifth graders crack the case of the Boston Massacre. I'm going to turn this over to
Yes.
Dr. Bartlett, who's going to introduce this Deep Learning Showcase.
Well, our November's Deep Learning Showcase features an engaging fifth grade IDS project at Canyon View Elementary School, led by teacher Samantha Tessa Thompson, who transformed a lesson on the Boston Massacre into a dynamic CSI Canyon View, right? Crime scene investigation experience. Parents took on the roles of witnesses to the historic event, allowing students to interview them for firsthand accounts. Immersed in their roles as detectives or reporters, students analyze documents as evidence from the scene, piecing together details about how the Boston Massacre occurred. Detectives compiled their findings into crime scene files, while reporters crafted newspaper articles to capture the event's significance. And the project culminated in the student presentation to small groups who offered constructive feedback, enhancing both their understanding of history and their communication skills. So without further ado, we have the case of the Boston Massacre.
And we did a crime scene. This project is about the Boston Massacre and the interesting things that happened and why it's such a critical event in history.
I really wanted my gifted students to engage in analytical thinking. So instead of just learning about the event, I wanted to have them engaging with evidence and drawing those conclusions naturally, backing up their conclusions with evidence-based reasoning.
I like this project because it's has a lot of parts to it. We don't just listen to a slideshow to get information. We got to kind of go around and get information from people that were role playing as if they were in the Boston Massacre.
My name is Samuel Adams, and I am a local merchant. The colonists were becoming increasingly aggressive. They were shouting insults and throwing snowballs and other objects at the soldiers. The crowd was really animated. They kind of seemed to be taunting the British soldiers. People were running everywhere, and the air was filled with screams and confusion. It was a night I will never forget. I tried to get closer to understand what had happened, but the scene was too chaotic. I eventually had to retreat to safety, but the events I witnessed left a deep impression on me.
So I reached out to some of the parents about coming in to read a witness statement, and they went above and beyond with it. They came in costume, they came ready to provide extra information, answer any questions, fully in character. They really were a big part of what brought it to life.
Okay, detectives and reporters, amazing job going through and analyzing the evidence, drawing some conclusions.
thought about how could I really bring this to life? How could I help them feel that revolutionary spirit that was brewing? So we kind of looked at it from different perspectives. They heard from different witnesses. They looked at some primary sources. They just kind of rounded out the whole big picture themselves.
We're learning about it by researching and making a slideshow with primary resources and writing it into a report or a detective sort of thing.
I was surprised by how excited they were right away. I had all students actively engaging with the content the entire time.
Including what the people said and what artifacts were found at the scene.
So during your peer review, you will be put into a small group. We'll have a mix of reporters and detectives. Each student will have 3 minutes to share their analysis with their other people in their small group. During that time, your peers will give you a positive comment and then a constructive suggestion. They really stayed in character too when they were asked to be detectives or reporters. They took that very seriously. And they really tried to make sure that they were thinking like a historian. So they didn't use any background knowledge, they really used the evidence to support their reasoning.
And in 1770, the Boston Massacre occurred. According to Sample Adams, an uproar arose as an angry group of colonists were shouting and throwing snowballs at a line of soldiers standing on King Street. All of a sudden, the soldiers lost their cool and fired the muskets at the colonists. Abigail Williams described the scene as a scary and sad day for many. I like learning about history. I think it gives us like a little peek into what the life was back then. So you can kind of compare it to what life is like now.
I like learning about our past and learning about it. I just think that it's really interesting, and you get to know stuff, and then you like try not to repeat those mistakes.
So especially with history, I really want it to be relevant and impactful for them. So I think connecting past events with present day concepts really helps bridge that gap and bring it to life for them. It allows them to really think like a historian, which is our big goal for the year, is how can I think like a historian? And how can I not only draw conclusions, but back those up with evidence and explain my thinking to others.
At this time, we'd like to have Tessa and her principal, Ms. Herfkens, come on up to the podium.
Yeah.
So we can ask you some questions.
You can come.
You have any questions for Ms. Thompson? Or?
You're talking to my mom.
Careful.
Stand right there.
Is this the first year you've done this, or is this something you've done in the past?
Yes, I'm new to the position this year, so one of my colleagues, Mara Baker, she does something similar, and she just kind of planted the seed, and then, like I said, I reached out to the parents, and they really helped bring it to life too. Yeah.
How many days did this project last?
The project was 2 2-hour periods, so 4 hours total, but the kids were not even happy with like their end result. This was right before fall break, and they asked like, can I please have fall break to make it even better? Like they wanted it to be their best work, and they did, and their products were amazing.
Did everyone reach the same conclusions?
Yeah, mostly yes. There was still like a couple of, we're kind of taking on, our big question is, was the American Revolution justified? So we do have some people who really want to like argue that it wasn't. And so they kind of ran with that, and they have their big Socratic seminar coming up where they're going to argue that point.
Good.
Yeah.
Our future debate participants at the high school.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I know, right?
Yes.
I wasn't thinking about that.
I know.
Well, it is IDS. We gotta.
I love it. No, I love it. American history is the best.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And another thank you to, I'm sure, Julie Fabarik for the video.
Yes, we loved having Julie in, and the kids didn't get shy in front of the camera or anything. They just kept right on.
Not
with
at
it.
all, they were really articulate.
Yeah.
Have they seen this video?
No.
Oh, going to?
Yeah, I will have to show it to them. Yes. Yes.
I was thinking I'd put it on Parent Square now that it's been out.
Yeah.
Parent Square.
Yes, I
How
see.
do you think they'll like it?
Oh, they'll love it.
Do you think they'll like it?
She's asking a question.
Do you think they'll like seeing the video?
Well, thank you for sharing this with us this evening and for all the work you do on behalf of our
Well, and
students.
thank you for, the thought that you put into this. I know you said you talked to one of
Mara.
the cohorts.
Yeah.
But it's just really incredible what you as teachers and with the support of, I know, you've got great kids and great
Great
parents coming
community,
in and
yeah.
helping. But, to put the thought into something like this and what these kids are 10 years old about,
Yeah.
that's really amazing. And I think the future is bright with these kinds of things happening.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry. Almost.
That's fun.
This is all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
All of the meetings are fun.
All of them are, yes.
Yeah.
They're all very,
Every
very
meeting is like-
interesting.
Which is more fun
Better
for
than
them.
others. There you go.
Okay. And I know, again, you came for an express purpose. We'd love to have you for the rest of our meeting, but also if you have, it's probably been a long day for you. Feel free. If you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you as well. Okay, the next item on our agenda is public comment, and I have no purple sheets, but I do have somebody online. Yes, yay. Okay, so online we have Scott Olmsted, who is a district, not a district resident. Oh, I'm sorry, yep, there we go, teacher, and is wanting to speak regarding the proposed calendar for 26-27. Scott, can you hear me, and are you ready to deliver your public comment? He's still connecting? Okay.
All right, I think I'm logged in.
We can hear you, and there you are.
All right, I think I'm logged in.
We can hear you, and there you are. Oh, that's not good.
Okay, I think I'm good. I attempted to mute the live stream, so hopefully it works. Thanks for the opportunity to provide comments. My name is Scott Olmsted, and I teach at the high school. And my comment is about the 2026-27 calendar and the unevenly divided semesters. Not just unevenly divided, but having the shorter first semester is really problematic. I'm grateful to have an evenly divided calendar this year for the second year in a row, which continues into next year. Having equally divided semesters is better for many reasons. One reason that's important from the teaching point of view is when we change the length of semesters from one year to the next, teachers have to change their lesson plans, which is a burden. I understand that that's teacher-centric, but it is a burden. But beyond that burden on teachers, there's a real impact on teaching and learning, and it's related to the first semester, which has unique challenges. In the first semester, teachers spend a lot of time establishing classroom routines and using carefully developed activities to create a supportive and comfortable environment. for students to succeed. And if anything, the first semester leaves less time inherently for covering the essential content and skills that need to be addressed before the final exams for the semester at the high school. So carving out a week of the semester makes it, even, I'm thinking about not only my classes, which is a year-long class with final exams in December and May, but also there are semester-long courses like AP US Government, and they need to cover a prescribed curriculum before their AP exam, which is a really important standardized test. Having a shorter semester seems especially unfair to those teachers and students. And I imagine that you're aware of some or most of these issues. So I assume that the reason we're looking at a calendar with an 85-day first semester is probably related to concerns about starting school too early. I don't know if you can see my air quotes on Zoom. And that this may be a consideration, but it seems, based on my experience in the district, that CFSD usually puts the focus and emphasis on teaching and learning, and this proposed calendar has significant potential impacts on teaching and learning, like any calendar with a shortened first semester. When I look at the proposed calendar that's under consideration tonight,
Scott, just a second. Was that 2 or 3 minutes, Amy? It was 2. Keep going. We'll do the full 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I'll be done before 3. Yeah, I'm done before 3. When I look at the proposed calendar, it looks like school would start on Monday, August 10th. By moving it forward 1 week, we would start on Monday, August 3rd, which is only 1 calendar day earlier than the start of the 2025-26 school year, Monday, August 4th. So my question is it really worth sacrificing a whole week of teaching and learning on first semester topics, which are just as important as second semester topics, in order to avoid starting school 1 day earlier? I know from my perspective, that's not a worthwhile sacrifice. So I urge you to reconsider the proposed 2026-27 calendar before giving it preliminary approval, and do whatever you can to look at giving us a full 90-day semester. If August 3rd is truly too early for some reason, which I don't believe it is, please get creative. Make sure you've exhausted all of the options. For example, we used to start school on a Thursday. Could we start on Thursday, August 6th? Even an 88-day semester would be better than an 85-day semester from the perspective of teaching and learning. So I hope you'll consider all the options available before moving forward with that calendar proposal.
Great, Scott. Thank you for your comments. And this is on the agenda this evening, so I assume you may wish to hang out with us and hear the discussion when we get there. So thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we're going to move on to our consent agenda, which is item 5. Does anyone have anything on the consent agenda that they wish to pull or discuss prior to our motion?
Somebody's got to do my spiel. Come on.
You're just so good at it, Amy.
You want me to do it? You don't want me to do it.
Not the kid make the
Not
motion.
the motion,
not
just
the
your
motion.
spiel.
Oh, your spiel
My
about
little
this
spiel
stuff?
about all these like
wonderful
amazing
things
things
on
that are
the
on here.
consent
I'll-
agenda.
I know what you're gonna say, it's okay.
No, okay. I'll forego my spiel about the awesome field trips that augment learning and the fundraising requests that show all of our amazing booster clubs and, you know, the support we get from our parent groups and our gifts and donations from which often, as tonight, highlight the contributions of our FFOs to assist with field trips in all the various schools, which again augments the learning outside of the classroom. And then, of course, 5.7 is that school facilities award, almost
Again.
$500,000, which is unbelievable. I mean,
Absolutely.
just a phenomenal amount of money that our facilities division is capturing from the state school facilities. I guess it's division now, it used to be
It's
board.
division, yeah. it
It's
used to be
division.
SFD.
Division, which of course means that we don't have to raise that capital or, you know,
Or use our bond funds or-
for those kinds of improvements and weatherization, roofs, maintenance, just like your house. You don't keep it up, you're gonna have a bigger cost at the end, so this is just really tremendous, all of it. It's a consent motion, but those are things that I always think are worthy of pointing out.
Anybody have anything else? I do have one thing, if no one has anything else. Dr. Bartlett, I was hoping maybe you could talk a little bit about, on the personnel detail, the temporary position for security specialist that is sitting on the personnel detail tonight. We all know that safety and security is on everybody's mind these days, and I thought you might want to say a few words about what this person will do. And
we are hiring a temporary position for a security specialist. He comes to us with much experience on emergency operation planning. So he is reviewing all of our operation plans, and he is going to be tasked with culling it down into a usable kind of flip chart type book for every school to have that will tell them the procedures for any type of emergency that we can think, from animals on campus to a secure lockdown to a fire drill, you know, all of those things that would go into an emergency operations. He is going to be working also with our administrators and training them on the new requirements for the emergency operation plans from the Arizona Department of Education. And he's going to be doing some actual training for response to emergencies. So he's coming to us with a great deal of experience. He is currently an employee in Tucson Unified School District, and he is consulting with us on a temporary basis.
He's TUSD's security specialist?
He is a security he is one of many in TUSD that, yes.
that is fantastic. Just yet another way of trying to be responsive to the concerns of the day. So I appreciate that. And it's good to see this on the personnel reports.
Make a motion?
Absolutely.
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 5.1, the governing board October 22nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented. 5.2, the expense voucher memorandum as presented. 5.3, the field trip request memorandum as presented. 5.4, the fundraising request memorandum as presented. 5.5, the personnel memorandum as presented. 5.6, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented. And 5.7, the School Facilities Division Award to Core Construction, Swaim Associates, and Arcadis for the weatherization project at Manzanita Elementary School, totaling $496,057 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. If there's no further discussion or comment, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on now to item 6, which is our unfinished business. 6.1 is preliminary approval of the 2026-2027 school year calendar. This is a second reading for a preliminary approval of this calendar that is 2 years down the road. And I know from the memo in our board book that there are no changes from the 2 weeks ago presentation, but Mindy, if you could speak to some of the concerns that Scott brought up regarding the unequal division of the school year in your presentation, that would be great.
Okay, well, good evening, President Jackson. As you said, that this is the second reading for the 26-27 calendar. It is a preliminary approval of that calendar for this year, and that there had not been changes. We did do a little research on the conferences and the fall schedules, and found that those were actually helping us slightly with attendance, and that some of the same spikes that were there prior are still there. So I know you guys had an opportunity to see that.
It was great to see that information. Thank you for pulling that together.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the requests from the last meeting. I know that the uneven contract days are on there, or uneven calendar days for the 2 semesters. And we did look at starting earlier, but as we were trying to look at not starting and not ending later, but that is certainly something we could look at. But starting on the 3rd of, well, for our brand new teachers, it would be them coming back on the 22nd of July, which is getting earlier and earlier into July. So it is at some point, you know, we are in the, kind of that rotation where it just calendar-wise did bump it up for this school year. At this point, we did recommend the same calendar that you all saw last year, or last board meeting. I apologize for that, for the 26-27, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
I think that if I remember correctly, 2 weeks ago when we spoke about it, we talked about the benefit of the second semester being slightly longer because of testing days, and
Yes.
that takes students out. And so arguably, and I think Scott's points are valid points, but arguably then taking those testing days out means that the 2 semesters maybe actually have a similar number of teaching days.
Right.
The part that Scott made me think about that I don't believe we touched on was the getting to know each other and the settling into the school year and the hard work that the teachers do at the start of the school year.
Sure.
To settle the kids in and to establish classroom routines and school routines, which, to be fair, even the seniors have those,
Sure.
you know, have those needs, even though they've been in school then for 13 years, right? So I'm wondering if you have, you know, what your thoughts might be on that and how many teaching days, so to speak, that settling in might take.
You know, it is when you're unbalanced, you know, you have those entry days, no matter where we start the school year, you will still have those days in the teaching, you know, the allotted days. However, you know, with the test, with like AP exams and things like that he brought up, yeah, you know, you would have potentially 1 additional week, really, to prepare if we move everything up a week, which is essentially what it would do, but it still wouldn't change second semester, the holiday, we'd still come back from those holidays at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
So it would just push everything up, but you're right, it could potentially change a 5-day on the front end, which could impact, you know, how teachers have their calendars worked out over the years. If they're 90-day calendars, they're going to have to make some adjustments to their curriculum.
What data do we have, and I don't expect us to have it tonight, but what data do we have that looks at AP test performance of our first semester kids versus our second semester kids? And so typically that's the AP Gov and the AP Econ exams.
Yeah, I
which
believe
are
those
one
are the only
semester each.
semester-long courses for
Yeah.
AP. I'm not sure on that, but
That
I'd be happy to
could
look.
be helpful information.
I mean, I think the data is probably going to show us that the closer that the student takes the test to the material that was presented, would probably present stronger assessment scores. However, I'm sure that the high school, you know, if I taught econ for a semester and kids hadn't seen it for a semester and they test in May, you know, I'm sure they have study sessions and
There are
times to
study
bring
sessions,
the kids
yeah.
together. But I would assume that the data would show the closer to the assessment that you know, which.
I appreciate that we can't allow for all factors.
Yes.
However, I'm just trying to identify some data sources that might help us make an informed point of view here.
I think the intangible really is the opportunity for our staff to have a longer time period away in July and not having to come back earlier. I mean, it truly does, teachers need time to refresh and recoup, and having, you know, almost having the full month of July really does, I think, count for some.
They'd end a week earlier.
In May.
Yeah.
So they'd end a week earlier. They'd still have the same number of weeks off in the summer.
Yeah. But
year.
hiring can become an issue. You know, people coming from out of state to start
July
teaching, their
22nd.
teaching.
On July
We don't
22nd.
usually
I just want
have
to push
a-
that though, because I mean, I do hear what you're saying. However, with that said, we're looking at a calendar for 2025-26 where teachers come back on the 23rd of July.
Yes.
If we were to make this change, they'd be coming back on the 22nd of July.
Correct.
So we're talking about literally
Day.
one
A week.
day difference
Which is,
here.
yes, which is what Mr. Olmsted said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, we could start it on the 22nd and then it would end on the 19th of May.
Does that do to, what happens to Christmas break?
It stays the same.
We would
Stays the
stay the
same.
same.
Everything is the same.
You're just
Just have
adding a
90
week
days
at the
instead of
beginning of
85
the
days.
school year.
The issues become the
So-
quarters, so we would have to look at the middle school quarters as well. So it might mean moving October break up, because our middle schools are on the quarter system. Our elementaries are on the trimester system,
Right.
and our high schools on the semester system. So we may need to look at, a fall break earlier, like we had this year.
And that we plan to have next year as well, I
Mhm.
think.
So we would have to re-look at that, but no, winter break would stay the same. The last day would be the 18th.
Yeah.
Have we heard from any other teachers, anecdotally or
And we're
anybody else
administrators.
reached out to you guys about this, or is he the only one?
think the high
Mr.
school.
Lambert just mentioned that he had a concern, and I'm assuming it was Mr. Olmsted that had spoken to him. I don't know of any others.
You asked a question that was on my mind as well, so go ahead.
The one that I just mumbled?
Yes.
Oh, I just said we're administrators consulted in the preparation of this calendar, the principals.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so the middle school principals, the elementary principals.
Yes.
yes.
So I assume there was some conversation, and I'm sure you presented it 2 weeks ago, but there was some conversation about the unevenness
Yeah, and
of the schedule.
the comment from Mr. Lambert came in late last week.
Yes, about Friday, Thursday, Friday.
But we did bring this to the administrators probably about a month ago, and discussed and looked at the calendar. We talked about that 1 week shift one way or the other. I think the majority of the administrators felt like the later start date was advantageous and something that their staffs would like. At this point, we did, like I said, Dr. Bartlett did hear from Mr. Lambert late last week. So,
Heard from Mr. Lambert that there was a concern?
one teacher had a.
That there was one concern, okay, gotcha.
So also, just to close the loop on, well, it may not close it, but you could open it, but my recollection, I remember when we moved from starting school on a Thursday to going to a Monday, and if I recall correctly, that was after there was a lot of discussion about wasted days, that teachers like uniformly
break to be a
did
full
not.
week.
That's what it was.
It was
for
about
fall
oh, it
break.
was
It's about fall break, to get that to be a full
I
week.
see,
Yes, it was
Oh,
for
We
fall
had to
break.
make up those 3 days.
okay.
There's actually been, from a parent's perspective, a lot of pushback about starting on Mondays instead of Thursdays, because it's really hard, particularly at the elementary school levels, to have a
At
full
5
first
days.
week.
Well, if you look at it with this extra week, if we moved everything up and there's no need to get out on the 19th, so we could add those days, we could add 2 days or 3 days. I mean, we have a whole nother week in May before that Memorial Day.
Right?
Right.
What do you think, Lisa?
So if we wanted to consider starting on a Thursday again, or a Wednesday, we could look at that last week in May as extending into that week. The days that we're going to remove from August 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
But then you'd put them into the second, you take from the
Oh,
first
right.
semester and put in the second, so they
Yeah,
would still be uneven,
It's still be uneven.
Right.
right?
So it
So,
would be less uneven.
a little bit
Yeah,
less.
that's true.
2
It
days.
wouldn't
Little
be
bit less
5 days,
uneven.
it would be 3 and then
2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
What he says, the backup plan is like, hey, if you can get closer, that would be nice as
that would be
well.
better.
I do take his point about the AP exams and the semester classes. I think that's a really valid one in terms of student learning.
But I do too, but if, it sounds like there's only 2 AP exams after first semester.
There are other semester classes,
The majority is,
Oh, but
right, semester classes, but if we're talking about, the whole reason we started, this was presented this way, because we usually aim for 90-90, was because of the week of testing, right?
Well, I
State-
was-
state
Well, more than a
assessments
week.
when-
I mean, there's
I
a
was
lot
saying
of
there's
testing that's
multiple
going on
assessment
in
days
the
that
spring.
there's-
spring
That there's
that take
traditional
away.
days
So-
that you lose during,
Right.
during the spring
So it would
semester
be-
that you don't lose in the fall semester due
Right,
to
so that
testing.
means there's more teaching days, the days available for regular school
Instructional
days
days.
is more even.
Yes.
Even though the calendar days are.
And I would,
But there's kind of a trade-off here, as a teacher in the classroom, of what goes into those first few days
Sure.
of
Yeah.
establishing yourself as
Boss.
classroom and the boss, okay, the teacher is, yes, I'm in charge here, but just doing those things, I mean, there is some, you know, I mean, I think I generally find that not too much homework comes home the first week, and, you know, it's just a little gentler start, which I think was what we talked about back in the day when we were starting on Thursdays.
Yeah, and I would.
However, a lot of people just figure there's not much to this, you know, in spite of it's a long week for elementary kids, Monday through Friday, but a lot of them don't bother to come till the next Monday anyway if you don't start on Thursday. I mean, I mean, it's, I hate to say it, but it's true.
And what you're saying about instructional days and time spent just building classroom culture and rules and expectations, right? I would say generally they do that the first week of school. I mean, I still hope some instruction is happening those days.
Absolutely.
Two to 3 days probably all, you know, but those things are taught all semester long. And then I would beg to say they more than likely start second semester with a recap, because the class lists, the class rosters aren't always exactly the same. So you do have time in that second semester where teachers are additionally going through in the first day or two again. Reset expectations, go through the rules again. So I mean, those days, granted, there's probably more of that on the front end than the back end, but they do spend time equally both semesters.
Orienting kids. Yeah.
Is there a reason why we need to make a decision this evening, or might there be time to go back to especially to the high school and do another round of
The high school is the one that's calling the shots on
Yeah, that's
this.
where,
Let's
well,
be clear.
that's
The
where
other
the
schools, it's not,
challenge is, I think,
it's
isn't
not
it?
nearly as critical as the high school.
Agree.
That would be the place to maybe go back
and rework some
take it down.
options.
I mean, the two-day thing is not.
Or
you
just
go-
having a conversation, I think.
If you go back to Thursday, you go 87-93, you get a little closer, you don't give away the whole week, you know.
I think the only issue there potentially is that we have like a funky graduation day and things like that.
Well, and
Not
all those
necessarily.
exams in the spring semester, that to me is really important. All that testing.
I think it's a conversation at the high school level, to be honest. It's like, you know, okay, we have exams in the spring, we have semester classes, we have establishing classroom routines. Yeah, we have recruitment and retention is probably a discussion as well, right? It doesn't change the length of the summer break, but to your point, anyone coming from out of state, it means they have one short summer before they start.
That's
right?
true.
And if time permits, I think it's a great opportunity to lean into that conversation one more time. Get back to it. Sure.
Is any of this a new concern that hasn't been discussed?
I've only been, since I just started in July, I only saw the one conversation with administrators.
I mean, for
Dr.
this
Bartlett.
year and for this calendar, do we feel like these concerns that have been highlighted this evening were part of the discussion
Yes.
when we decided to bring this calendar to the board?
Yes, with the administrators, those conversations were had.
So
At the-
you're not hearing a new concern tonight? Okay, I just think, yeah, we can go back to the drawing board, we can have additional conversations, but is this new information? Are these new concerns that have not been already dealt with and it still resulted in this recommendation?
Is a real conversation gonna take place, or are we just gonna come back with the same calendar?
And I don't mean it that way, I'm just saying, you guys are really pretty thorough before
Yeah,
you
that's what I
bring,
meant. If they
before
tell
you
us-
bring a recommendation to our board. So the only reason I'm asking is, has Scott brought up something that maybe we didn't discuss that we do need to go back to the drawing board on? But if we have discussed it and this was still the consensus, I question having to go back and do it again. That's the only where I'm coming from.
I think that the truth is we'd have people on both sides of the issue.
And we've lived with the uneven semesters
Yeah.
before. We
Yeah.
have had those in calendar. The calendar is a cycle.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so you cycle through it, and so the next, in 26, 27 would be a year of, the uneven, and I think the next year after that would be too. We'd have to look at, what the impact down the road is too, to see when it would correct itself. But because it is cyclical, right? Because
Right.
We start earlier and then we start later, and then we start earlier and then we start. We've started on the 10th, that week of the 10th before, and we've started earlier before, obviously. So we would have to look at, what the impact of, we can build this out many years in advance. So, to see what the impact would be.
So members? How are we feeling about going back to the drawing board, or, to your point, it doesn't have to be done this evening because this is a preliminary for 2 years down the road. I just don't want to send you to do work that's already been done, if it's already been done and you feel like the analysis has been thorough.
But we can take it back to our administrators and ask them to present it one more time to their faculty and get any additional feedback, and then build from what we see there. I mean, we certainly can ask again.
Well, like she said, it's going to be, some really want it, some really don't, right? It's going to be split, and it is really a high school issue. It's not an elementary or a middle school. I think a later start date for elementary and middle is preferable because it's hot and they're outside more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a consideration for the elementary. So starting later in August when.
And being a former math teacher, I can tell you if I lost 5 instructional days on a semester, it would stress me out.
It would,
It would, yeah.
But, I mean, that's just because, I would have to definitely rearrange and see where I was going to get that, and if it was possible for me to move some of the content into the second semester.
That is the one thing that I know that we've not talked about at the board level before, is the effect on lesson planning for the teachers who have to deal with that shorter semester.
And certainly in a high school level, when you do have semester classes that are credited by the semester, it is a concern. 5 days, if we did cut it, it could make an impact, but 5 days is manageable, shall we say? But it is going to be, people are going to have to be aware and look at that and plan accordingly. But I do see the benefits for some of our elementary, and I see the benefits for our kids and our teachers starting a little bit later, especially with the hiring, like Dr. Bartlett said. We don't hire just Arizona teachers. When we hire from out of state, that early start does impact.
Yes. Because many of them don't end their school year till June.
Yeah.
And then to make a move it can be.
Have we had 85, 95 before?
Yes.
Sure we have.
Yeah.
So I wasn't here last.
Yeah, and
sorry,
people didn't like it a
missed
whole
the
lot, as I
nuances.
recall. Yeah.
What did you say, something, Carol?
I don't think people liked that imbalance before particularly.
By people, are you talking about teachers and staff, or families, or?
Well, families.
180 days is 180
Yeah,
days.
they're gonna
All I know is that, as a
Yeah.
parent, those
Yeah.
really
It's
early
staff.
start years killed me.
Yeah, it's been.
So we're talking teachers and staff. yeah.
Teachers, and, there's an advantage to, because the AP exams and so forth are going to be whenever they're going to be. So there's an advantage, as we've said, to having kids in school 5 days longer before, you've got 5 more days of instruction on all of these things. Those things are fixed, and you've got 5 more days of instruction the earlier you start, for sure. And so there's that.
We wouldn't be adding
But
5 days to the calendar.
We'd add it to the front end and take it away from the back.
Right, we would
Yes,
be
but
adding
you've
5
got
days.
5 more days before you give the AP exam in April or May, because you've started school.
Yeah, sure.
You have it
Yes.
before instead of after. So you have really, after those classes,
Yes.
less time afterwards. But I think it was the same issue. It's the high school that's concerned about it, because there are, even though you may be teaching a whole year, you're still got that semester exam and so forth, and then you've got, I would think it would be kind of hard to teach that economics class in 85 days and then in 95 days. I think that would be.
It's a week of instruction.
Yeah.
But it's, it is a 5-day swing, so.
But it's been both sides, it's been both sides, and, kids learn. The kids are learning, so.
What did you say, Doug?
Sorry, Doug?
We
He's
didn't go to,
mumbling
we didn't
over
go,
there.
we didn't go to school for a year, and, you know, it's all relative, right?
Well, are we reaching any kind of a consensus on instruction that we want to give our administrators on whether or not they need to go back to the drawing board, or
I'm
if we
comfortable.
feel?
I'll start the
Go, Doug.
conversation. I am comfortable with this calendar. I think they both seem like they're comfortable. I don't think anything is new here. We heard from one teacher, we've done this before, so I'm comfortable with the calendar as is.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm not comfortable.
Not
I think
comfortable?
that we may end up in exactly the same place, but given that there's no pressing need to get this done tonight, I don't personally see harm in taking a few minutes to talk with Dr. Lambert again.
Amy?
I don't really have a strong opinion either way.
Yeah,
Carol?
I'm kind of, because it will work both ways.
Okay.
We'll have a third reading. All
All
right.
right. Doug has
Spoken.
gavelled.
I know where we're headed,
Yeah,
which is fine.
So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll bring it back for a third reading and make a decision at that point.
Okay, I will get some information.
Thank you. Okay. Item 7, consideration of revisions to policy and regulation DJE-R, bidding/purchasing procedures, a first reading. Dr. Bartlett.
Yes, thank you. So the main reason we're bringing this policy and regulation to you is a new paragraph, a new federal regulation, well, not new federal regulation, but it's a federal regulation for suspension and debarment verification. So suspension and debarment are actions taken by the federal government against organizations or individuals who have committed fraud or criminal offense in violation of federal law, and they prohibit expending federal funds or goods and or services from any entity suspended or debarred from doing business with the federal government. So this paragraph that we're adding is to ensure that grant-related purchases are not made from an entity that has been suspended or debarred by the federal government. So that's the whole gist of that last paragraph on page 69.
I just figured this out.
Comes under one of those headings of duh.
I mean,
It's just in.
CFR has been there for 30 years, but they just figured out it needs to be in this policy. Okay.
So the revision is to include language to check for procurement contracts for goods and services awarded under a non-procurement transaction that are expected to equal or exceed $25,000 for debarment or suspension of any agency, entity, and its principals. So that's the major portion of this change to our policy. However, in policy DJE on the first page, page 56 of this from the board book, we added the inclusion of the Code of Federal Regulations Title II. And then on page 58 of the policy, we did the new adoption date. Then we also included the specific regulation to the legal references for the policy. And then in the regulation, we added, we revised the first paragraph, you can see, but it's basically to include that code. And then we added the paragraph on the suspension and debarment verification.
Just as a matter of practicality, how do you know, is there like a list? I mean, how do you do the due diligence to make sure that?
Well, it would be our procurement specialist who would be doing that.
Okay.
We'd be doing the due diligence on checking any company that we were going to be working with for this, that exceeded $25,000, obviously, for any debarment or suspension. That's what our procurement specialist would be doing.
And it says the verification is done by accessing a government website where names of parties debarred, suspended, or otherwise excluded by agencies are listed.
And is this retroactive so that the procurement specialist has to vet companies we're currently contracted with?
Well, I believe it has been occurring since our audit. Okay. So our auditors brought this to our attention, and then it came in policy. So I think we have been following this ever since our audit in September. So.
Does it require an identification of situations where we might need to go backwards and look?
No.
Versus going forward?
No.
Okay. Got it.
So I have a question on this online bidding. It says until such time as the State Board of Education adopts rules for the procurement of goods and information services by school districts and other charter schools using electronic online bidding, the district may procure goods, et cetera, using the rules. I assume by now the state has come up with that?
No, and we
No?
don't, we
In
do
5
not
years? It's
do,
been 5 years since this
we
was.
do not do online bidding.
Oh.
So when we do, request for proposals, we make them bring physical copies of their proposal to us. They do bring a thumb drive that has it electronically for us, but there's no portal for them to do an online bid for us. We require them to do physical copies. Because we have teams going through it and
Right.
discussing and looking at all of the
Rather than-
materials, and it's easier to have them printed out rather than us using our paper and copier to do that. So we don't use online.
So we don't do it, so it doesn't matter whether the state has any rules or not, okay? I just thought by now maybe the state would have the rules and we didn't need that in there, is what I was thinking.
No. So,
Anything else on this policy or regulation? I know we never limit ourselves to the change at hand when we look at these policies, but I personally did not have anything that I needed to bring up regarding this.
it's a pretty hefty
It is a hefty one.
policy.
Regulation
Lots of
anyway.
regulations,
Yeah.
and lots of,
Yeah.
Super interesting to read.
All right, well, this is a first reading, so we'll see it again at our next meeting. If we've got nothing else on this one, I'll move on to discussion and reports, Arizona legislative / government activity.
Not in session.
well, the election
Not in
tomorrow will
session
be
and-
interesting.
What's that?
The election tomorrow will be interesting.
I know, everybody vote.
Everybody vote.
That's governmental activity.
There you go.
Okay. Future agenda considerations. Anyone have anything for, I think it'll be Amy and I doing agenda planning tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll just stick with the 2 o'clock.
Tomorrow or Wednesday?
I'm sorry, Wednesday at 2 o'clock?
At 2,
Because we usually have Doug on the schedule for 2.
they were all at 10, but let me check.
Are you available?
Let me check.
I'm free all day. I know
Not looking good.
No.
I'm looking at her, I don't think it looks good, guys.
Yeah, we have our first call with Centegix.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Don't do anything with that. What time does work for you on Wednesday?
Well, I have 10 o'clock down, but
You said 10
I
was
can do it
problematic
later.
for you, Amy?
Well, it would help if I looked at Wednesday and not
you go.
Tuesday. 10 is problematic for me, but 10:30 is not.
Is that okay?
10:30 is
All right.
great.
It'll be Amy and I at 10:30.
I'm gonna be in person.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming in as well.
Okay.
What did I say?
10:30.
Got it.
Okay? And absent anyone having anything under future agenda considerations, I would be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone.
Can I
Good
just check that
meeting.
our next meeting is the 25th?
It is.
It is.
Because it's